Welcome to Crafty Polyglot, the monthly podcast where language meets creativity. Each month, we sit down with leading voices and innovators in language education, from renowned educators to pioneers shaping the future of multilingual learning. Together, we explore the art, science, and the passion behind mastering languages, uncovering the strategies and stories that inspire learners and educators around the globe. Whether you're a teacher, a student, or simply a language enthusiast, Crafty Polyglot is your gateway to fresh insights, practical tips, and meaningful conversations that celebrate the vibrant world of languages. Join us on this journey, because in every language, there's a new world to discover.
Hello, I am Dr. Felicia Eybl, moderator of the Crafty Polyglot Podcast. Today, I would like to welcome Donna Podgorny. Donna has devoted her career to language learning and bilingual education. Her passion for Spanish began during university studies in Spain and grew through years of living and working in South America, North Africa, and Asia, where she experienced multiple languages and cultures firsthand. She began her professional career as a bilingual teacher in California and later came full circle by returning to dual language immersion in North Carolina, where she served as an instructional coach and world languages curriculum coordinator for Union County Public Schools. She has held leadership roles nationally and statewide, serving as an officer for the Dual Language Immersion Special Interest Group of ACTFL and as a member of the executive board of FLANC, Fostering Language Acquisition in North Carolina. She has presented at state, regional, and national conferences on dual language programming, curriculum development, and effective language teaching practices. Today, she develops curriculum and proficiency-based assessments for middle school Spanish immersion programs while providing professional learning, program audits, and consulting for dual language immersion schools. She is passionate about helping schools and families create learning environments where bilingualism, biliteracy, and intercultural understanding can flourish. Welcome, Donna.
My pleasure to be here today. Thank you for having me.
So tell us about what motivated you to join the world of language immersion and what part of that still motivates you today.
Language immersion education is extremely exciting, and it's really such a viable way to learn another language. It's powerful from day one. When the students are immersed in the language in a meaningful context, not just learning about a language, they're learning languages for the sake of communication. It's powerful. And so they're able to acquire a language in a very natural setting. At the same time, in immersion, they are learning content. And so that ability to learn content in one language and thus compare it to their home language is extremely powerful. And they're surrounded by a very rich cultural environment that's so important for them. And it influences their development socially. You know, we sadly start language learning rather late in the United States. That's a limiting factor because we don't give children a lot of time. But when you start in an immersion program, let's say in kindergarten or preschool, they have time to grow and develop with the language and with their own maturity. If you can imagine, we would struggle if we started learning math just in high school. Right. We had a couple years of math. Where would we be in terms of math? If you can imagine that we didn't invest in these children so early, we wouldn't have the outcomes that we do. So we're creating through immersion programs children that are academically strong, but they're also proficient in another language. And I think that's a benefit to our global culture. So I am very motivated by that. I still find it enchanting, fascinating to go into a classroom, watch instruction, and to watch the children acquire the language. So it's very exciting to still be involved in that profession.
Right. And as you mentioned, immersion education is more than language. It's also about culture, identity, and connection. How do you see how immersion shapes the way students understand themselves and the world?
It is such a gift to give the child an immersion education because they can, from a very early age, see the world, live in the world, and they're not just limited to their own local culture or family and community. And so we are permitting the students to see the world through different lenses. They live every day with teachers who speak another language. They phrase things differently. It's not just a translation. The way the teachers joke, the way the teachers sing with them, the culture, the stories they read them. Their world is surrounded by culture. The teachers talk about their family and how large their family is, how small their family is, where their family lives, what the country is like, and that teacher's from. They're surrounded by culture from day one. And because children love their teachers, they grow up with respect for their teachers, and that respect for the teachers transfers to respect for another culture.
So parents are the driving force behind school enrollment decisions, including the choice of school and educational model. What explains the strong interest in and rapid growth of dual language immersion programs, especially in North Carolina?
I think we have parents today that understand the value of a global education and the global needs. Parents work for companies around the world. Some parents are traveling and living outside of the U.S. these days, and so they understand the language need. Parents today have traveled more than parents did in the past, and so they may have had a little bit of Russian or Spanish or Chinese in high school, but they realize they are really not very fluent when they travel, and they know that if they give their child that gift of another language, they're preparing them for the future. They know that everywhere they go, they have products that we are buying. We have news from around the world. We have music. We are surrounded as citizens today of whatever adult age we are with global connections. And so we realize can we help our child get out of just my neighborhood environment of just my neighborhood school? How can I expose my child and give them this gift to prepare them for the future so that they can see the world globally and understand geography, weather, politics. And so it's a gift to your child to put them in an immersion program, and you're preparing them for a global world.
Absolutely. I totally agree. In the past, there was a push for children and their families to abandon the home language and focus solely on learning English. Today, parents are encouraged to use their home language to support their child's speaking, listening, and cognitive development. Why is this approach recommended?
If you think about it, parents are the first teachers that a child has. From the day they're born, the parents are speaking to the child. They're naming objects in their environment. They're explaining how the world works. They're explaining who's related to who. They're explaining how we deal with other people. And so the parent is the first teacher. So the child comes to school with 5 years of language development. And when we ignore that language development and tend to start from scratch, we're ignoring the foundation that the child brings to the school. And that's to the child's detriment. There have been pushes to get the child into ESL and very quickly to help them learn English. But we find that even like Thomas and Collier's, the researchers say, by the time they get to upper elementary and middle school, they don't have some of the cognitive maturity that they need in that other language to understand concepts. And so we don't want our children to lose the ability to speak to their grandparents. We don't want the children to not be able to read and write their home language. Taking away the gift that they bring of language to the school is to their detriment. So we want to focus on acquiring a new language. We never want to think that they're not going to learn English. It's super important that they be successful in English. If they only come out of a dual language immersion program fluent in another language, we have not benefited the child. So English is extremely important. But if we are giving them the maintenance of their home language to enrich the acquisition of the second language, we've really empowered them tremendously.
So what guidance can be offered to parents who speak a language other than English to help support their child emotionally, linguistically, and culturally?
For any parent, I would always advise talk to your child, whether they're in a monolingual or a multilingual program. But when your child is in a multilingual program, talk to your child consistently, develop understanding of language, take them to stores, talk about things that you see, talk about relationships with the family, tell family history. When you know that the school is studying the life cycle of a butterfly or they're studying the planets, talk about those things with the child. And so the child can understand more fully what this world is about. And so language is so extremely important. So yeah. If I don't speak English at home, I do want to praise my child for learning English. I want to congratulate them, and maybe we go places and they have to help me translate. But I always want to make sure that my home language stays strong. And sometimes it's a fight because parents are surrounded by forces that try to encourage them to learn just English. And it's a gift to hang on to your home language. Do you agree?
Absolutely, I agree. It is a gift to hang on to your home language and to learn something else.
Exactly.
There's currently a widespread shortage of K-12 teachers. Most teachers in dual language immersion programs are guest teachers who are native speakers of the language they teach. How do students benefit from having teachers who are native speakers of the non-English language?
Native speakers, and of course, as teachers, they're university educated, are a huge asset. Because if you can think about everything that happens in a day at school all day long, that's happening as communication. That's happening as I have needs. I'm a student. Help me with this. That's happening as I want this. It's happening as I'm excited. Help me understand this. And so the language situation is so rich. Learning a second language and being very competent in it, you could be a great teacher. But if I'm a native speaking teacher, guest teacher, as often happens the case in this country because people are coming on visas, I bring such a wealth of language. I can talk about all of the content areas. I don't have to look up science vocabulary. I don't have to learn how to say math terms because I was educated in that language. I'm a native speaker. And so it's very easy for me to provide a very natural environment. Children sense what is an artificial language from teachers and whether teachers are comfortable with that language. And when the teacher can laugh with the kids, joke with the kids, cry with the kids, be sad with them, listen to their emotions, they've created such a powerful situation to embrace the child in another language. And the kids are comfortable and they flourish from a very early age.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Teaching and living in a new country comes with many challenges. And even though international teachers are often the creme de la creme, they come from prestigious schools and are already fluent in English, the cultural and instructional differences are significant. What can districts, colleagues, and parents do to support guest teachers, as they acclimate to a new country, city, and school community?
It comes with respect and gratitude for having a guest teacher in your country. And it also comes with empathy because the teachers coming to adapt to teaching specifically, for example, in North Carolina, but they're also coming to live in this local environment. They need driver's license, social security numbers, bank accounts, cars that break, cars that need to be fixed. They might come with a spouse. They might come with children. They'd all need to be settled in. Moving is a big deal. And teachers come with suitcases. They don't come with a household full of a furnished apartment with all of the things that they need. And so it's a big change for the teachers. It's very taxing and it can be overwhelming. And so I think starting with respect and empathy is very important. If we understand that they need to get their life in order and then they can focus on teaching, they'll do great. Before the school year starts, I think it's very important to have teacher orientation. And we would have that in any school district for new teachers. But we also have to recognize that the new teacher coming from a foreign country may not know our computer system. They may not know all the acronyms we have. We have abbreviations like crazy in ours, and they vary from state to state. What we say in Pennsylvania versus what we say in North Carolina, all the abbreviations are crazy. How to take attendance, how to grade, what to do in a fire drill. Do you have tornado warnings? Do you have flood warnings? All these things are so new to students. What is classroom management like? So we need to have a lot of orientation for new teachers that addresses these differences of what is the American educational system. It's very helpful if at the school level, the principal and the administrative leader can provide a mentor teacher. It might be somebody in the grade level because the teacher should be part of a grade level team. They should not be out on their own in a separate room trying to invent their program all by themselves. They learn from how the other teachers are teaching math in second grade. They learn from what they have to do and be prepared with and what resources are available. So they need their grade level team. They need a mentor. They need to also have kind of a checklist of everybody in the school that they need to get to know, from the receptionist at the start of the school and who the data manager is, who the bookkeeper is, how do I file my absences, how do I log in for X, Y, and Z. They need to know who the nurse is. They need to know who the counselors are, the PE teachers. They need to know who could be resources for extracurricular things like art or music. They need to know who is going to have their back and who can they turn to, because the school is a community. And so if they start with a checklist, get to know all these people, that's very helpful. And sometimes that's very overwhelming and people say, okay, we did all that, but who's going to check in with that teacher regularly? There's a bump in every teacher's teaching day or year. And so who's going to be? Is it the instructional coach in the building? Is it the principal, the assistant principal? There need to be people that are assigned to checking in regularly with a new teacher, because even though they're talented, they are a new teacher in your school. And they're also need to check in with them for cultural reasons to see how they're adapting.
Those are really good ideas and suggestions. Are there best practices individual schools can adopt? Well, you spoke to that, to ensure guest teachers don't feel isolated as they adjust to a new school environment. For example, you talked about mentoring, structured support systems. Are there other things that school districts, especially local schools, should be aware of?
I think I mentioned some of them, but I would suggest a model that's sometimes called the professional learning community, or a PLC. And when you can have those across schools, that's also very helpful. Dual language immersion varies from district to district, school to school. It might be an entire school that's an immersion program, and thus you have a very strong group there. But is there somebody you can connect with outside of your school? In many cases, and the ones I'm most familiar with, the teacher was in a strand. A portion of the school was immersion, but the entire school was not. So if I can connect with other third grade teachers that are teaching in Mandarin across my district, that's super helpful. If I can put teachers into professional learning communities like at the state level, that's very helpful. We're lucky in North Carolina that we have a Chinese Language Teachers Association. We have the language acquisition program for North Carolina, where we can connect teachers, where they can learn from other districts, because figuring it out by yourself is too much. So providing, we mentioned the local school support, the grade level support, but what's available also outside of that small school at the district level, the state level. And sometimes our teachers are great. They go to national conferences and they get supported there. So if we can send them to those conferences, that's very helpful.
Thank you. So school administrators often have to be crafty in creating and implementing DLI programs with fidelity. This includes securing the right teachers, procuring funding, and educating parents and central office administrators about DLI in a mostly monolingual setting. What are your recommendations?
I like the word crafty. And you have to learn to think outside of the box.
Oh, absolutely.
You're not teaching the same monolingual program that you have at another school. And so we've already talked about many things about respecting the teacher and the individual differences, but I am going to have to think differently. My scheduling might be differently. I need to look at what these teachers' skills are. I brought them in for kindergarten. Should they be in 5th grade next year? I figured out that this teacher is really good with calligraphy. And so maybe I can do an activity at my school to help everybody at the school have buy-in, because not all people understand immersion. It may not be the most natural thing. So how can I be crafty and get buy-in at my school level? I need to have the other teachers that are maybe monolingual English speakers understand why learning another language is valuable. Or how can you even learn how can you learn math and Chinese? Sometimes that's hard to understand. And so I am constantly, as an administrator, educating my staff. I'm educating the parents. I'm educating the community and why this program is so valuable. Sometimes the district doesn't understand an immersion program, so I have to educate those above me. A dual language immersion principal might feel a little bit lonely because they don't quite understand everything their peers say, because their world is different. So administrators themselves need to have a PLC, a professional learning community, where they can connect with other immersion principals. How did you handle it? What did you do for this situation? What are you guys doing? Can we brainstorm? Or, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. We have to support our principals. So they have to be crafty. They have to step out of their environment. I think it's also really important for the principal to educate the parents, to not think of their parents as being the same as a parent of a monolingual child, because
that is important.
Parents will often compare what their cousins, their neighbors are doing, and an immersion child is developing differently, and they're going to get their language skills at different levels, and their roadblocks are going to be different, and their accomplishments are going to be different. So I think we need to educate parents. Don't put stress on your child. Trust the system. Be aware that this trajectory is different. It's education for all of us.
Right. And so you've moved into my next question, as what kind of advice would you give parents and families considering a dual language or immersion program for their children?
I did kind of overlap on that a little bit. The immersion parent needs to trust the system. They need to recognize that this is not like trying the guitar for a few months or playing soccer for the first time. This is a commitment. It's a K-12 commitment. The parent wants to buy into and support it. They hopefully will belong to some type of group of immersion parents. They can find out from those parents who have kids in 5th grade what it's like. What does it mean for my kindergartner, my 1st grader, my 2nd grader? In kindergarten, children typically come home really tired at the beginning of school because it's so new for them and so academically new. But for immersion kids, they're going to be exhausted because they haven't sometimes had a whole school day in another language before, ever. And it's exhausting, but that's normal and that's good. Also, I would tell a parent, don't panic. When something happens, when something goes awry, it's not because your child's studying German at school that they're having a behavior problem or a bullying problem or an academic problem. It's look at the whole picture. Don't just blame it on the program. I would encourage the immersion parent to not panic that they don't understand the language that their child is learning. You probably can't learn that language quickly enough to keep up with your child. So don't worry about it. Praise them, praise them, praise them. But in your sense of praising them, also don't just say, go talk to Uncle George and speak French to Uncle George. Let him hear your French. Your French is so good. That's kind of unnatural because kids are learning. They don't know that they're learning another language. So if you ask an immersion child, what did you learn today? what French did you learn today? They may not know how to answer that question because they learned about the butterflies. They didn't know that they were learning words in French. They were just learning concepts that happened to be in another language. And so, praise your child, take them to places where they can be exposed to the culture and the language more. Is it restaurants? Is it movies? Is it concerts? Is it trips? If you have the ability, travel. So whatever you can do to support your child, you're giving them this gift, stand behind them and the teacher, be understanding of foreign teachers, and you will have incredible outcomes.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Donna, for joining us today. It has been a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you.
My honor. Thank you very much and best wishes.
Thank you.